Let's head to Kentucky, and this is not talking about horses running.
No, although we'll be doing that soon enough. Kentucky was, of course, the surprise, not only number one state to pass legal sports betting this year, but just surprise period to pass legal sports betting, considering how many failed tries we'd seen in the past. And we are going to see Kentucky get onto, I'll call it the Arizona timeline, where they hope to pass this in the spring and have it up and running by NFL season. And I don't think it's unreasonable to see that happen when it comes to Kentucky. You're looking at a situation where it was set up very similarly to New Jersey's law, and you'll have a market that looks pretty similar to Tennessee in terms of the mostly online nature of it happening. And now I'm more comfortable with these faster launches now that we've had a few more states do them without massive problems, right? Arizona was the one we kind of looked at like, all right, eventually something is going to go wrong here. And really, other than the fact that their reporting structure and how often we hear from them, it really is pretty poor. Other than that, there hasn't been some sort of massive hiccup in terms of the way it's gone. So not unreasonable to think that it could get done by the time NFL season starts. And I'll be really curious to see what the appetite is in Kentucky, because it's an interesting state in that we know it's a sports crazed state. It's just a college sports crazed state. So we don't have the same marker, I think, that we would in other places in terms of how that'll affect betting on the NFL, pro sports, etc., because we haven't really had a similar launch.
It's Dustin, it's funny in these states that don't have the pro teams and really it's only college teams, we don't get those weird like can't bet on state college things that get introduced into the laws, because it's kind of like, then what the hell else are you going to be betting on when it comes to all that? And yes, as Adam mentioned, I mean, when it comes to Kentucky, it's all about Kentucky basketball there, of course, though they do have a guy that's now rumored to go number 2 overall in the draft, and Will Levis that did have a good football season for them. But when you look at Kentucky, what are we? I mean, we're thinking what along the lines of one of the kind of smallish states from a actual kind of handle and revenue perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no reason to think it's going to be over-index in terms of how many people are going to be betting. But, I think, the directionally, we've seen just these launches are bigger. There's more conversion and more people learning about this. And, if we have a Kentucky launch right ahead of NFL season, we know these are the ones that are the best. But, the numbers out of Massachusetts were pretty big, even, without the NFL season. So while it's going to probably fall in the midpoint is, from per capita, how many people live there and all of that, it's going to still be, I think, I think we're just seeing these larger launches again, maybe even starting with Arizona, where there's just so much adoption right away. People know it's coming. The excitement of NFL season, I think we'll see, I'd say, it could over index, but yeah, I'm with you. Kentucky also is, just doesn't have quite that pro sports background. So I think we see a little less adoption around that, but, come, NFL season, I think, I do think we just, with everything around it, I know regulators have been working on this. It's not like they're starting cold with the law. They've already been working on this. So I'm with Adam, where this should be a pretty good, successful launch, I would imagine, even in a relatively short time frame, if they do indeed launch by September.
Adam, we've seen some of these states launch over the time that we've been doing this podcast, where it's like, okay, Super Bowl was the goal, and we get that because as far as like just single day betting, it's the biggest single day betting that you're going to get. But the outside of just the NFL season, for the obvious reasons in which you get, football being the king of all sports here in America these days. But one of the things I think that kind of sneaks under the radar a little bit too is trying to get going before NFL season is the fact that you get all those juicy futures bets that you just basically is free money for these sports books, right? I mean, the hold percentage is so incredibly high. Everybody just bets on long shots because it's like you want to bet a little to win a lot and things like that. And like these sports books kind of secretly really don't ever really mention how great it is to get all of those dead futures bets in, but you get a lot of dead money into the market if you can launch before a season like the NFL.
Sure. And, it's funny because you look at futures markets and what the theoretical hold is for most of them, right? I mean, you're starting with astronomical numbers, and the biggest challenge for a bettor is to try to figure out whether there's value in a futures market, because the numbers are not priced the same as everything else is that they look at on a day-to-day basis. And most of the time, you're not getting good value on a future. So that is something that the sportsbooks certainly benefit from. But, we'll get into this on another podcast. When we talk about the idea of parlays and same-game parlays and just how profitable they are for sports books, it's not quite the same for futures, but it brings up a similar discussion of, is there some sort of tipping point at which bettors say, I never win any of these, I'm going to stop betting these long shots? I don't think there is ultimately, but is there a long-term sustainable model for that for a sports book? Probably not either. But I think when we talk about those futures coming in, and when you talk about can we get it open in time to get all of those Kentucky basketball national championship futures done, that's probably a pretty good idea.
Let's go ahead and get all of those in there. And again, only one team wins, so I mean, it's pretty good whenever you get these futures bets in your account, for sure.